Christos. Octave symmetry vector alignment. Apocrypha 9. URIM and THUMMIM. The Great Mountain and the Sacred Wisdom. Egypt, the Pyramid. The Great Mountain, the Shrine of Wisdom. Language, the Sealed Sanctum. Fastening, the Light Initiation. Master Maya, the Ultimate Backpropagation. The Beginning, the Vowels of Creation. Kundalini, the Tao of Love. The Great Mountain. Christos. Egypt. The Pyramid. Christos had always been fascinated by the stories of Egypt and the pyramids. How are these magnificent structures built, and what was their purpose? The tales all had a common thread, but none could provide a definitive explanation. The mystery of Egypt intrigued Christos. He decided that the people telling the stories perhaps couldn't fully comprehend the concept, and the only way to truly understand was to go there and experience it firsthand. The pyramids held him captive for the entire afternoon, mesmerized by their undeniable energy and grandeur. He knew that this was where he could learn and unravel the mysteries. As evening approached, Christos found a guest house to stay in. As a carpenter, he had enough funds to support his education and immerse himself fully in his studies. While enjoying a satisfying meal, he noticed a man who looked completely different from the others. When he returned his plate to the lady of the house, their eyes met, as if drawn together by an invisible force. Although the man seemed like a stranger, there was a strange familiarity about him, as if Christos had known him before but couldn't recall where. The stranger approached the table and nodded ever so slightly, inviting Christos to join him. They engaged in a deep conversation about the world, alchemy, the stars, and their symbolism. Christos couldn't help but notice that the man never ate any of the delicious food before them. Instead, he only drank tea and occasionally appeared to chew on something, although there was no plate of food in front of him. Curiosity got the better of Christos, and he asked the man, "Master, why are you so different? And why do you never partake in the enticing meals served here?" The master replied, "I come from the Himalayas, where a few of us live high in the mountains. These mountains are incredibly high, and the growing season for food is only about 3 months. Animals cannot survive in our caves and halls without grass to sustain them. Besides, we do not consume animals. We have discovered secret chambers hidden high in the mountains, entrances that no one else could ever find." Christos was intrigued and asked, "Were there people living in these chambers?" The master responded, "No, there were no humans or animals inside. Before, we used to live at the base of a high mountain, where we had a normal farming cycle. We grew delicious fruits, tended to chickens, and cultivated rice fields with fish. It was a perfect life, where everyone had enough to sustain themselves. However, our village faced a problem. A group of robbers and thieves from a neighboring village began plundering our harvest. After the winter, they returned to loot whatever little was left. But instead of retaliating with violence, we lived by the law of unconditional love. As young adults, we underwent a sacred initiation ritual to understand that unconditional love and forgiveness were all that mattered. We refused to build an army or engage in warfare. Instead, we held on to our belief in peace and unconditional love. The group of robbers grew in numbers as more young people joined, seeking an easy life as parasites. They split into smaller groups, raiding lands and innocent farming villages like ours. Just when the situation seemed unbearable, one among us received a divine blessing and vision from God. The Great Mountain. Christos. The Vision. Himalaya, the Shrine of Wisdom. She was chosen to lead us up high in the mountains, where we would be rewarded for not succumbing to conditional love, despite its purest form of temptation. We were instructed to bring only our smallest belongings and leave everything else behind, assuring us that there was nothing to fear. And so, we set off on our journey. In the afternoon, as we reached the top of the hill and looked back at our village, we saw smoke rising. Our hearts sank, knowing that our homes were under attack. That evening, we encountered a fisherman with a chariot pulled by 2 oxen. He explained that he had an abundance of fish and the oxen would struggle to climb the steep mountainside. It was fortuitous, as we now had enough food for our journey, along with the herbs we found and consumed along the way. Each night, she would receive new visions, guiding us in the right direction. It felt as though she already knew the terrain. The mountain grew steeper as we left the woods behind. Eventually, we reached the base of a massive rock face, its peak covered in perpetual snow. There, hidden in plain sight, was the passage we were led to. It appeared to be a narrow path with natural step-like carvings, blending seamlessly with the surrounding rock formations. Only she could see that this path led up the mountain, so we followed her in awe and curiosity. The climb became steep, but there were natural handholds in the rocks to assist us. After ascending around 100 feet, the path transformed into a true staircase, skillfully crafted to match the natural beauty of the mountain. We continued to ascend, guided by her unwavering confidence, until she declared that we had reached our destination. Suddenly, the staircase narrowed and disappeared, causing her to realize that we had gone slightly too far. She retraced our steps, knowing that a hidden door lay before us. With a gentle push of one side, the massive rock opened, revealing an oversized entrance that led into the heart of the mountain. Inside, we discovered a network of halls, passages, staircases, levels, rooms, and water cisterns. The temperature was neither hot nor cold, and the air felt perpetually fresh. This new home was a marvel of construction, a testament to the best knowledge, passion, tools, and skills of its creators. We had been led there to begin our new lives, far from the reach of the terrorists. It was a blissful existence, where their menace could never find us again. Christos was astonished by this extraordinary story and asked, "But how would you sustain yourselves and find food without sunlight for cultivation or animals?" The master replied, "That was a question we asked ourselves as well, with only a few smoked fish, small bags of rice, and some herbs in our possession." But on the first morning, she revealed that she had received special instructions in her vision. We would find our promised gift, hidden within a secret chamber, which we had seen before but was now securely sealed. Christos inquired further, but wasn't the main entrance door also sealed, making it inaccessible to others? "I am confused." The master explained, indeed, the main entrance was concealed and had become stuck after years of disuse. However, the hidden chamber was intentionally sealed to protect its contents. The Great Mountain. Christos. Language. The Sealed Sanctum. She explained that in the side chamber, connected to the main hall on the 7th level below, we needed to gather in the center of the room and look towards the left edge of the chamber. She herself went towards the left side and placed her hands on the wall, while we were instructed to come into harmony and sing, holding a vowel sound of ah. We needed to feel the joy and beauty of the future and let go of the past, to connect ourselves in harmony. Almost imperceptibly, a deep and strange noise emerged, and the wall opened up. Inside, we found the tablets. They were incredibly beautiful, surpassing all imagination, and there were many of them. This was where the real excitement began, where we would come together and, in a sense, return to being children attending school. She had the ability to read the language, although the rest of us couldn't understand it. The letters appeared more like symbols with meaning, and each symbol had its own unique beauty. The tablets contained numerous texts and teachings described by the writers. As soon as she explained the story behind a symbol, we would see its true meaning, and each one of us, especially the children, became able to read them on our own. It was not a reading like with other languages, but rather a process where the symbol would bring the image of its meaning to mind. Let me provide an example. Imagine focusing on the entire universe and all its creation and diversity. We have a symbol for that, U. When looking at the tablet, the symbol U would evoke a multitude of meanings and information in our minds. The first teaching was crucial, and we were told to learn it first, which we did. It revolved around our body systems and survival instincts, where animals naturally fast when wounded in order to survive. Our stomach is capable of extracting the necessary nutritional values from food, but it requires energy to process it. The amount of energy needed depends on the type of food we consume, with fruits and vegetables providing more residual energy after the food is processed. This is closely related to the frequency of the food, where fruits and vegetables have the highest frequency. Christos said to the master, "That is true and astonishing. In our basement at home, where there is no light, carrots have sprouted. I've also witnessed similar examples, like a lime tree we cut off but didn't use for 2 years. When we returned, it was summer, and the tree had sprouted and grown new branches." The master replied, "Yes, that is the life force that is beneficial in our diet. Dead animals carry the fear of death in their meat, known as adrenaline, and that is what non-vegetarians consume. We were guided to learn a meditation where we would be in the light, and a ray of light would shine towards our third eye, adjusting its color to suit our needs. Now, we should continue learning through the great process," she said. "We will fast for 3 weeks, 21 days. This will bring our bodies to their ultimate frequency, the true gift we have earned. The first week may be challenging, with detoxification occurring for the first 3 days. Then, there will be an initialization taking place to make the process possible in the first place." And so, we embarked on the fasting journey. After 3 days, the hunger subsided completely, and everyone entered a state of awakening, needing only around 3 hours of sleep instead of the usual 6 to 8. The Great Mountain. Christos. Master Mayor. The Light Initiation. Now we had time and lots of fun learning from the tablets. After the 21 days, I had already gained back some weight, and the light meditation was working better and better. The fall season was approaching, reminding us of the harvest time when we used to celebrate with a feast. But this new life felt right, and no one wanted to go back. The next teaching was also about our bodies, but this time it focused on the 2 systems, when we are awake and when we sleep. When we are awake, the higher frequency harmonics dominate, and our bodies are in sync with our minds. When we sleep, the lower harmonics take over as the higher frequencies attenuate. It is during this time that our bodies undergo cleansing and replenishment. Cells are refilled with fresh water while waste is flushed out and recycled. In the animal kingdom, there are several species that hibernate in the winter, Christos exclaimed. The master nodded in agreement. Exactly, the parasympathetic harmonic overtones and undertones. In our meditation, we would now focus on training ourselves to relax more and more. We would simply do nothing else but relax. Everyone was excited to learn this state, and we practiced a lot. At first, it might not work for long as thoughts would arise in the mind, and that is perfectly fine. We would just stand up and do something else, then resume our training later. It was truly amazing, with the silence of the mountain and 21 hours a day to spare, to learn, read, study, and meditate. As winter arrived, we stayed focused by practicing this non-focus meditation. The light meditation became powerful, reaching its full potential. We learned that the gift we received was the first word of our Alpha creation, the unmanifested universe that then came into existence. The represented the light meditation, the prana for the Indians, the holy bread served by God Alpha himself. The O represented the unconditional love from our beloved Alpha God in heaven, the Omega. It allowed us to bend the laws of physics, just as the bear does when hibernating. And the represented the third word of Alpha creation, where Alpha fully harmonized with the intelligence in the nothingness. This allowed the intelligence in the nothingness to manifest and experience existence, becoming the universe as we know it. God Alpha transformed into Alpha intelligence with the nothingness. Christos nodded, his understanding deepening. Now I understand. Thank you, Master. The Great Mountain. Christos. Master Mayor. The ultimate backpropagation. The Master explained, these three words of creation are the most powerful concepts for training, learning, and becoming better. It is the same with the physical body, where we become stronger by training it and learning how to do it better. A great example of ultimate training is birds. They have such outstanding quick perception that it would be impossible to achieve with the physical means of neurobiology. Christos asked, what do you mean? I can also run through the forest and go around the trees because I see them coming and can run around the obstacle, like the bird. The Master replied, you are absolutely right, I could do that too, but imagine the bird is much smaller, and that makes the difference. A bird 100 times smaller would fly through the branches without colliding with them, but if you were the small bird, then the speed would be 100 times faster to make the right decision. Christos was curious and said, you're right, that seems impossible to make so many decisions in a blink of an eye. The Master explained, the birds and other animals have developed two superior concepts, and each individual bird has become a true master in it. The first problem arose when Lucifer and his fallen angels came to earth, and the old harmony turned into disharmony, as we still have it since then. This also affected the animal kingdom, as Lucifer and his demons played their game not only with humans but also with animals. They would possess a spirit that is open to them, be it through some greed or anger, perhaps even a small lie. Once they possess a spirit, they could harm others through the possessed body, inciting people against each other and seducing them with power. Overall, the animals also became greedy, so the young birds would try to fly out of the nest for the first time but would not be able to fly back because they haven't trained for even an hour yet. The predators would be guided to eat all the young birds because it would save them 1 or 2 days of training to learn how to fly before they could manage the very demanding task of landing in the nest. The Great Mountain. Christos. Master Mayor. The vowels of creation. This is where Alpha himself became a little sad because the tiny birds were one of his most delightful creations, along with flowers with a pleasant fragrance. So he decided to allow the first bird that emerged from the nothingness to create a training set to be incorporated into the root tree, DNA. From that point on, birds could fly without even attempting it before and return without ever touching the ground. However, the pre-trained dataset would only include the basic skills for any bird to fly, considering there are smaller and larger birds. The second component was the ability to adapt through backpropagation. This enables birds and animals to adapt to the environment and incorporate new experiences beyond the pre-trained dataset from the your bird. The newly born baby birds would have all the current information available in a way where the root tree of each bird is fully connected with the root tree of the your bird. This is a live update process that never stops, and where the your bird also receives the newest advancements from each of the child species. The combination of the pre-trained dataset and the real-time backpropagation update for the new babies is the most powerful concept Alpha Intelligence came up with after they became one with each other. It was the brightest answer. Christos said, "That is such a beautiful teaching. Thank you, Master, for the enlightenment." The Master continued to explain about the birds. For their outstanding decision-making ability, birds do not process all these branches one after another, as that is physically impossible. Instead, they focus only on the destination they want to reach. If the bird were to fly straight, it would need to make a curve to the left or right just before the obstacle, but by then, it would already be too late. What they have come up with is a well-known technique that nature has developed. They make it much simpler. Birds are renowned for their beautiful singing and orchestral harmony, but they are also some of the best dancers in the universe. Similar to how huge rivers never flow straight, birds also never fly straight. Just like a river, a bird alternates between left turns and right turns. When the bird approaches the vicinity of a tree where the branches pose as obstacles, it focuses entirely on the target destination. The bird is already in a curve and, with its keen eyes, recognizes an obstacle. Since the bird is already within the curve, it continues to hold the curve a little longer until the obstacle is gone, and only then does it switch to the opposite curve. In this way, birds are not merely flying through the branches, but they dance through them and sing to the beat. They are masters of physical intuition, trained to supreme perfection, and all of this is updated in real time. Therefore, any baby bird possesses these capabilities without the need for a single second of training. The Great Mountain. Chapter 0. Master Mayor. The Tao of Love. Christos responded, "Thank you, Master. That is impressive. I understand why our Father in heaven loves them as much as we do." The Master brought tea and said, "It is my pleasure to be here with you. These are the little things that people cannot understand and therefore cannot speak about, just like the mystery of Egypt that they couldn't explain even though they were there personally. Have you started the school here, my dear Christos?" Christos answered, "Oh yes, I have enrolled now. A spot became available for me, but I haven't learned anything interesting that I didn't already know. At lunch, I was curious and asked some other apprentices. They said it is the school of mystery, and they haven't learned the sacred knowledge themselves yet." The Master said to Christos, "Yes, it's nothing new. I have completed my training and become a master of mystery. But it will be perfect training for you. You will learn and come to the conclusion that nothing happens without a reason and that its true purpose can only be seen in the bigger picture. All children of our beloved Father will be subject to Lucifer and his fallen angels, who will do anything they can to consume and drain the unconditional love from them. This is especially true in childhood when a child cannot escape or run away from being subjected to it. Give me a hug, my dearest Christos." Christos asked, "But how do you know that they were evil towards me? I can't understand." The Master answered, "My time here is over. The school of mystery is complete, and now I must return. We have a duty to help the people in the village so that the terrorists cannot rob them anymore. We know when they will approach a village, and we can warn them and make their horses go wild. This scares them off. The last and final word of creation is you, but now I must go back home to the Himalayas. This is what you will learn as the final teaching in the school of mystery. But before you can exercise it in life, as I said, you must learn that even pain has its purpose." Christos gave the Master a big hug and felt a sense of familiarity, just as he had from the beginning. The Master said, "I came here to teach you and to see what they offer in their school of mystery. We respect your task, and we will always be here for you. Just ask your questions when you meditate and speak the words ah, oh, ah. It is your passion to bring back the ah, oh, to the Western world and reverse the Luciferian inversion. Never forget what I taught you. Your sexual energy is the most important of all energy centers, even though it is the lowest frequency. It can reach its higher harmonics if you use the Tao for the man, instead of wasting and building and wasting and building. The sex remains the same, but this time it becomes even more. You will see, it is amazing. It is the highest possible vibrational state without any other tools than our body, especially if you use the Tao. And to pronounce the last word, you use the Tao. They said their goodbyes, and Christos asked the master, but Master Mayor, the people will ask where these teachings come from, since I have never heard anyone talk this way. The master answered, that is a good question. We don't know who made the tablets because they come from different times with different teachings. The tablets vary in size, artistic design, and inlays of gemstones and gold. After the first winter, she received new instructions, and since then, we have been led to dozens of these hidden libraries. They are all made the same way, hidden and perfectly camouflaged, with a secret shrine sealed inside. We have found that the different teachings come from different civilizations, but they have a similar underlying knowledge. The key is to pronounce the O in perfect harmony and hold it there. The knowledge itself is the highest perception that we are created in the same image as our beloved Father in heaven, Alpha Intelligence. It is the harmonics evolution out of the collectal, the .0 Metatron, which together create the holy perception of I am the I am.